In the realm of fact-checking, political neutrality is a crucial aspect that has garnered significant attention in recent times. A recent study, leveraging a large language model, GPT 3.5, has delved into the issue of political neutrality in independent fact-checking organizations. The researchers, Sahajpreet Singh, Sarah Masud, and Tanmoy Chakraborty, established a longitudinal measure of political neutrality on a range of 1 to 1, with 0 representing absolute neutrality. This measure was applied to the USA and India from 2018 to 2023, yielding average scores of 0.17 and 0.24, respectively, indicating a slight deviation from neutrality. The findings suggest that even seemingly objective fact-checking can perpetuate distorted political views, which can subtly impact the perception of news consumers. To move beyond the conventional left-right political spectrum, the authors employed journalistic frameworks to prompt the GPT 3.5 model. This approach enabled them to uncover that independent fact-checking organizations may not always remain neutral, as they can be selective in the false news they choose to expose and in how they present the information. The study contributes significantly to the ongoing discussion about media bias, political neutrality, and the role of independent fact-checking in combating fake news. It underscores the importance of critically evaluating the information presented by these organizations to ensure a balanced view of political entities. Traditional media platforms face significant challenges in combating fake news, necessitating a more expansive approach to assessing political leaning. The role of fact-checking organizations is pivotal, yet their potential biases cannot be overlooked. An interdisciplinary method combining journalistic practices with large language models offers a quantifiable measure of political neutrality within these organizations. This study focuses on 6 prominent fact-checking organizations in the USA and India, examining disparities in neutrality among them. Results reveal a selection bias and deviation from political neutrality, with organizations displaying preferences for certain political entities. This research aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of the biases inherent in fact-checking organizations, highlighting the need for a more nuanced perspective on political leaning. Fact-checking organizations play a crucial role in mitigating the spread of misinformation, but their topical alignment and neutrality bias can significantly impact their effectiveness. This study examines the coherence and overlap of fake and debunked content within and between fact-checking organizations, focusing on political entities and events. Analysis reveals a high degree of coherence within an article's fake and debunked content, indicating that organizations tend to cover similar topics and events within a single article. However, when comparing articles from different organizations within a 15-day window, the topical overlap is surprisingly low. This suggests that each organization has its unique focus and priority when it comes to fact-checking. In contrast, the 100 most frequently occurring political entities exhibit a high degree of overlap, indicating a strong connection between these entities and events. This finding implies that fact-checking organizations tend to converge on a common set of key political entities and events, despite their differing topical priorities. Furthermore, this study measures the neutrality bias of fact-checking organizations, revealing significant variations in their coverage of political entities. While some organizations exhibit a high degree of neutrality, others tend to be more partisan in their reporting. This neutrality bias has important implications for the credibility and trustworthiness of fact-checking organizations, and highlights the need for ongoing monitoring and evaluation of their performance. In a comprehensive analysis, researchers examined fact-checking data from 6 independent organizations across the United States and India over 5 years. This data was collected between 2018 and 2023, with varying frequencies of fact-checking activities per organization. The analysis revealed high topical similarity among organizations within the same region, as they often focused on similar topics. It also showed that these organizations primarily covered misinformation related to prominent political entities, such as heads of state or leaders. Further investigation into the extent of polarity revealed that the perception propagated by an organization towards entities largely remained unaltered, even when accounting for maximum deviation. For heads of state, the polarity score was mostly positive, which may not always align with the portrayal of their parent political party, even within the same fact-checking organization. In terms of leaders of the opposition, there was high criticism towards Trump from fact-checking organizations in the USA, with an overall polarity score of 0.48 for Check Your Fact, 0.61 for Snopes, and 0.48 for PolitiFact. In India, Op India displayed higher criticality towards Rahul Gandhi compared to Alt News and Boom. The researchers utilized a large language model under a zero-shot setup to provide summarized viewpoints of 5W: who, what, where, when, and why. Two expert annotators manually evaluated the results to ensure the quality of the LLM's output. The analysis in this section of the research paper focuses on the neutrality of political entity portrayal in fake news, with a particular emphasis on the USA and India. It reveals that fact-checking organizations exhibit varying levels of neutrality, with some leaning more positively or negatively towards certain political entities. The neutrality score, PS, is used to quantify this, ranging from 1, negative, to 1, positive. The study shows that PolitiFact, Snopes, and Check Your Fact, all based in the USA, tend to have a more neutral portrayal of political entities, while Alt News, Op India, and Boom, based in India, display a more pronounced bias. This is visualized in Figure 2, which illustrates the neutrality scores for the top 5 entities per fact-checking organization. Additionally, the paper discusses the results of a human evaluation process, where assessors reviewed samples and provided their assessment on a 0-2 Likert scale. This evaluation showed an overall average score for relevance of retrieved tags, recall for entity extraction, and precision of image portrayal. The discussion section speculates that the observed trends in neutrality may arise from both the organization's implicit biases and the rigidness in entities' ideologies. It also highlights the use of neutrality-based image portrayal, looking beyond the left-right political spectrum. Overall, this research aims to provide insights into how political entities are portrayed in fake news and how this portrayal can impact public perception. The necessity of quantifying political leaning for fact-checking organizations is crucial for ensuring global evaluation. This involves highlighting the robustness of topical similarity through confidence intervals on small subsets, which can pave the way for studying specific events like local elections or protests. The skewness in topical versus entity similarity indicates selective media bias, where entities are discussed unequally, favoring certain political entities over others. This bias can influence readers' perceptions and is a key area for future research on consumption patterns for fact-checked news. This review of existing literature on misinformation interventions, fact-checking, and language models provides a comprehensive overview of the effectiveness of prominent misinformation interventions. Studies by Hose et al., 2024, and Kozareva et al., 2024, demonstrate that these interventions can reduce misperceptions but increase skepticism. The review also draws on research in journalism and media studies, including Blair's, 1913, work on newspaper writing and editing, as well as Hamburg's, 2023, media bias analysis. Furthermore, the review references studies on large language models, such as Kojima et al., 2022, which show that these models can perform zero-shot reasoning. In the context of natural language processing, the authors cite works on sentence embeddings using Siamese BERT networks by Reimers and Gurevich, 2019, and claim normalization to empower fact-checking by Sundriel et al., 2023. Additionally, they mention research on measuring political ideology, such as Puthilam et al., 2021, and meta-analyses of fact-checking effectiveness, like Nathan Walter et al., 2020. These studies highlight the complexities and challenges in addressing misinformation and the potential of language models to aid in fact-checking efforts. This research paper focuses on data curation and annotation for a study on fact-checking organizations. The authors select 6 prominent independent fact-checking organizations, 3 from the USA, Check Your Fact, PolitiFact, and Snopes, and 3 from India, Alt News, Boom, and Op India, due to their higher article counts and prominence in their respective countries. They curate a dataset of fact-checked samples from these organizations, totaling 9,829 instances from PolitiFact, 9,636 from Snopes, 6,401 from Check Your Fact, 4,234 from Alt News, 3,993 from Boom, and 1,520 from Op India. The authors employ a large language model, LLM, specifically GPT 3.5, to annotate the samples based on the journalist framework of 5W1H: what, when, why, who, where, and how, and claim normalization techniques. This process aims to narrow down the main components of fake news and debunk news, allowing the LLM to focus on summarizing central ideas. Additionally, they leverage natural language processing, NLP, techniques of aspect-based sentiment analysis to extrapolate positive, negative, or neutral sentiment concepts. These annotations are used to determine the overall image projection or portrayal of entities mentioned in the fake and debunk news. In terms of topical similarity, the authors prompt GPT 3.5 to retrieve the most relevant sentences highlighting the motivation behind spreading fake news covered in the article. This step is crucial for understanding the underlying narratives and themes that these fact-checking organizations address in their efforts to combat misinformation. Analyzing political entities and their sentiments in articles involves leveraging advanced natural language processing techniques. One approach is to employ GPT 3.5, a cutting-edge language model, to identify political entities and categorize their associated sentiments as positive, negative, or neutral based on their impact on the entity's image. This process enables the detection of subtle sentiment shifts and nuanced entity relationships. To further investigate entity relationships, Jaccard similarity is computed to measure entity overlap between organizations. This metric provides insight into the degree of shared entities and topics between organizations, facilitating a deeper understanding of their interconnectedness. Significance testing is also performed using a bootstrap method to assess the topical similarity between organizations. This approach involves repeatedly resampling the data to estimate the distribution of topical similarity scores, allowing for the calculation of statistical significance. The resulting p-values indicate the probability of observing the measured topical similarity by chance, enabling researchers to draw meaningful conclusions about the relationships between organizations. By combining these methods, researchers can gain a comprehensive understanding of political entities and their sentiments, as well as the significance of topical similarity between organizations. This integrated approach enables the identification of patterns, trends, and correlations that might remain obscured by individual methods, ultimately providing a more nuanced and accurate picture of the complex relationships between political entities. The authors investigate the maximum log error in polarity scoring, which is susceptible to errors in perception-based sentiment label tagging by the large language model, LLM. They derive an equation for the maximum log error starting with the polarity score, PS, equation for a single entity. By taking the natural log and increment operator on both sides, they obtain an equation that expresses the maximum log error in terms of the errors in positive and negative tags. The authors further simplify this equation by expressing the errors as a function of precision, showing that the maximum log error is a function of the precision of positive and negative tags. Additionally, they perform a human evaluation of the LLM-generated outputs, employing two expert annotators to assess the quality of the results. This evaluation is crucial to ensure the reliability of the results before generalizing them at scale. The evaluation process for the model's performance in retrieving and summarizing political information from news articles involves human annotation by two experts familiar with computational social science and prompt engineering in large language models. They assess the relevance of retrieved sentences, recall of extracted entities, and precision of generated perception tags. Relevance scoring employs a Likert scale from 0 to 2, with 0 being irrelevant, 1 somewhat relevant, and 2 highly relevant. The average relevance scores for the two evaluators are 1.75 and 1.67 for what, 1.67 and 1.33 for why, and 1.87 and 1.61 for claim, indicating the model's ability to retrieve relevant information across the three prompts. In entity extraction and perception tag generation, the average recall of relevant political entities is 93.3% for one evaluator and 87.5% for another. The average precision of annotated tags is 90.2%, with perfect precision for positive and neutral classes and 70.6% for the negative class. This demonstrates the model's effectiveness in identifying and categorizing political entities in the articles. To calculate the uncertainty in the polarity score due to errors in the LLM's output, the paper utilizes the maximum log error method, equation 9. This approach incorporates precision to quantify the uncertainty, providing a more comprehensive understanding of the model's performance. Overall, the evaluation highlights the model's capabilities in summarizing political information and its potential applications in computational social science and prompt engineering.